What's up, guys? This is Andrew with Combat Art Training. I'm here today with Tom HOLYBEE of ASHIGARU Defense. We're going to be talking about lessons from history. Tom, I need to make him a discount code, and I need to update the website. But he will be at the Combat Arts Summit in Gray, Kentucky, September 27th through 28th, and you guys should be there too. All the instructors that are on the list, if you have trained with one of them before, you get $100 off. Just ask them for the discount code, whichever instructor you've trained with. There's going to be 4 different areas: a woods area, a classroom, a force and match area, and of course a live fire range. And at some points, there's going to be a class going on at every different place. So stuff like, of course, gun stuff, but also medical stuff, force on force stuff, knife stuff, ambush stuff. There's a whole list of topics covered. We're sorting out the exact class schedule right now, but perfect thing where if you're like, I've taken a class, or I got my permit, or I'm good at shooting a gun, but I haven't done medical or radio stuff. This is your opportunity and get different. And then of course you have plenty of time to ask the instructors questions and learn more. But Combat Arts Summit, Gray, Kentucky, as shown on the screen. Also this weekend in Newton, North Carolina, Saturday I'm doing pistol cheat codes, and then the day after that I am doing proving grounds pistol cheat codes, how to shoot your gun well, gearing you towards shooting on the move fast, which is what we do at the end of the class. And then proving grounds pistol is fighting pistol type drills, but we're doing them against each other. So it's a skills focused class. So those are going on this weekend. But now we're going to talk to Tom. Hello, sir.
Only if you want to. Hello. I'm sorry. Hello there. My name is Thomas HOLYBEE of ASHIGARU Defense. All right, I had to do
it. Well, of course, because we're going to talk about World War II here in a little bit. So whenever you reference anything Japanese, you have to use your Japanese accent. He's Japanese, so it's not racist. Don't do a Korean one this time.
I can't. They're all the same. I can say that.
Oh, we're going to be going through like some lessons from history. Tom and I have had so many great discussions on the phone. And so I was like, man, it'd be cool to talk about history with him because he's a history nerd and like even reads books and stuff. Show him some books.
Oh my God. I brought, when you told me we should do a live, I picked out, there's more, but I picked out the ones that were worthwhile.
One of those is the best one.
Well, I mean, obviously.
Rings.
If you haven't read it, you're wrong. You know. Let's see here. Here's another Asian author.
The Art of War.
Absolutely. You got.
I didn't finish it.
You don't realize Musashi was a student of this guy's.
Oh, really?
Because this guy was alive and dead long before Musashi was born.
Well, this is kind of a perfect way to go with it. Well, I guess we'll get into Musashi, but let's first talk about what is Ashigaru. What does that word mean?
So, Ashigaru, literal translation is peasant, but of the fighting class. Best way to think about it is conscript or draftee. I'm just a simple farmer, and now suddenly I have a really long stick with a pointy end, and you're telling me to run at that guy and stab him with it a lot. So, they are not the samurai. Like most people are familiar with the samurai. You know, you've seen The Last Samurai with Tom Cruise and all that shit.
Great.
You would not see. It is a great movie. Historical fucking inaccuracies abound.
Yeah.
I don't know why they changed the guy's name. The samurai that they based that movie off of, his name is Saigo Takamori, and I don't know why they changed his name at the last second. They're like, nah, nobody's gonna want to know who
What,
that
the
guy
white
is.
guy?
No, the head samurai dude.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, his real name is Saigo Takamori, and he dies in Satsuma and goes out like a samurai. He's like, no, cut my head off and don't let them find it, because that was a big thing for samurai. It's like heads are currency. So I don't know why they changed his name, but Ashigaru would have made up the bulk of the Imperial force in that movie. So everyone with a fucking gun is Ashigaru. They're just peasants. They're not formally trained. If you go back, the big difference is Ashigaru bought all of their gear. The swords, the spears, the armor, the bows, the arrows, all that shit they had to pay for. The daimyo or governor or the government wasn't going to provide any of that for them. It's like, go find a stick in the woods and make it sharp. That's good enough for me. Oh, you got a scythe? Cool. Show up with that.
And they're conscripts?
Yeah, basically conscripts, because either go fight like this or die. So that's what the Ashigaru are. I was gonna name my business something like militia defense, but that's been co-opted by like 1,000 people. It's like, I know. Cultural appropriation. I can do
that. Yeah, you don't get to use that word. Only we do.
Yeah. Special word. Only I get to use. And others who look a little like me or more like me.
Talking about Zach Bush?
What?
I say, you talking about Zach Bush?
No. Just other Asians. There's other Asians in this training sphere.
That was a joke because you guys use the same barber.
Do we? It's called Skull Shaver, and I'm just lucky to have the beard, not be patchy. So,
all right. So the Ashigaru, they were the bulk of the fighting force, but you never hear about them, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, how much do you want to talk about dudes who all wear the exact same dirt brown to black plate while running around in their underwear? Because it's feudal Japan, so pants aren't really a thing. I'd much rather focus on the samurai, because have you seen their shit? It's like they got these big helmets and they got katanas and they get horses and they're fed. They're not slowly dying of dysentery. So, it's just like with medieval warfare. You only ever see the knights and the man-at-arms. You don't see the stupid peasant number 25 getting rocked by a catapult boulder. So, it's 95%. It's like, if you look at the Revolutionary War, it's the same. It's almost equal numbers of professional soldiery versus this is Jim Bob with his musket, and he just happened to show up, and we're really happy he's here. So 80 to 95% of any fighting force, if you go back before our current professional volunteer soldiery, is going to be mostly just dickheads with a gun or a sword or spear.
Yeah, just a dude, pretty similar to what we're seeing in Ukraine right now too.
Yeah,
like I know.
Key difference is a lot of them did wind up being volunteers. So your Ashigaru were very commonly volunteers, because it's like, hey, this guy treats me kind of well and doesn't murder me and my 12 brothers every other day. So I kind of dig him, and I'm going to keep going with him. And that guy is a piece of shit. And I don't want to work with him. So, it's kind of like with the colonies. Most of the Minutemen were just American farmers who were like, hey, King George is a piece of shit and taxes the piss out of me, and I don't like that. But George Washington said I might not get taxed so much, so I'll go with him on that.
If only they knew. Well, I still appreciate them.
Well, to be fair, back then he didn't.
Yeah.
It won't be until like 1913 and the Federal Reserve and income tax becomes a thing. It's like, hey, are you being successful? Yeah. Why?
I heard about something, and I don't know, because I'm pretty sure it came from a liberal, so it could just be bullshit, but it'd be worth looking into. I heard that they actually did tax some guys, and we had and there was like a rebellion, and actually Washington had to go fight those guys in America.
Yeah, it's called the Whiskey Rebellion.
Okay.
Basically, a whole bunch of dudes said, "Hey, you said there would be no taxes," and George Washington looked at him and said, "Are you fucking retarded? How the fuck do you run a nation without any kind of tax? You don't. It's a flat tax still. It's like I think it was 2%. It's like 1 to 2% tax." And a bunch of dudes who very clearly misunderstood the point were like, "Hey, we still got guns." So George Washington was kind of faced with a really rough choice. Like, do you deploy the military? Do you deploy the army that you created? He's like, no, it can't be an army deal. He rounded up militia members. I think the casualty of this Whiskey Rebellion was like 3 people. It wasn't a lot because he basically brought a peaceful end to it and said, hey, no, seriously, there is still taxes. We still have to run a country. I gotta pay for all this shit, you know. The British might come back. Lo and behold, in 1812, they did. Like, okay, seriously, though.
So
they will come. They came back. You're still part of the British colonies. Like, no, we're not.
Well, it's an interesting thing with ASHIGARU, and then seeing that later on and still playing out. And it's like, especially when we start talking about World War II, there was a lot of that, like, and like, you know, just the areas where the fighting was going on, you know. Americans have been very fortunate not to have to deal with that in recent history.
How you get a giant ass army across 2 different oceans and do it without the Americans catching on and building huge ass fortifications. You ask the Japanese because they somehow did it. They got into Alaska. It didn't last long. It was like they were there for like a week and said, "This is bullshit. Alaska's a rough place."
I think like a note everyone should take is that, like, you know, well, for instance, we are basically starting a war with a drug cartel right now.
Yeah.
And not saying that the drug cartel are going to have the same effects as, like, you know, Germany invading Russia, but having the mindset that you are a part of the American militia, the American ASHIGARU, so to speak, you know, like, take that part seriously. I know there's that Wolverine warfare class going on up in PA, you know, and that's kind of along the same frameworks, or my patrolling the homestead class. But people need to think of themselves as that. You know, there's everyone wore those 3%. Yeah.
You know that scene where the Athenians and the Spartans meet with each other? And he's like, "Hey, how come you only brought 300 dudes?" And he's like, "Whoa, what do you do? I'm a banker. I'm a potter. I'm a farmer." And he's like, "What do you do? Like war." It's like, yeah. Except every fucking time you motherfuckers have fought anything, you've lost. And little lesser known little piece at the Battle of Thermopylae, where there's the 300 Spartans in the choke point of Thermopylae Pass. There's 20,000 Athenians facing the bulk of the Persian military. Like, oh, good job, guys. You held off a choke point.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, all of King Xerxes' military is over here and fucking the shit out of us.
I thought it was only 5,000, but yeah, they brought
only 5,000 at Thermopylae.
Yeah, they brought a
like,
ton.
Like, that whole movie is focused on one little point over here, and the major battle is over here, and the Spartans have nothing to do with it. Like, you're just holding off a route position so that they could sneak around us if they get that. Like, that's your job, is make sure that this meager fighting force doesn't come in. Like, okay, I could do that. So I always thought that was funny because it's kind of bred out this whole idea of like, oh, a professional soldier. It's like, okay, what else do you do though? Like when you suffer the Achilles syndrome, what else do you do? Nothing. What the fuck were you supposed to do to make money after that then?
Oh, they did stuff. They owned slaves that did stuff, you know?
Oh, well, don't tell the people with those Molon Labe stickers on their trucks exactly what that means and the culture behind that stupid fucking thing. That's a hoplite helmet. It's the Spartan helmet. Okay, either way, it's a culture of slave owning pedophiles. But sure, by all means, stick that on your truck.
Yeah.
I know these things seem scary, but if you open them up, they have information, and you might not have made a stupid choice like that. Hold on, labia, man. King Leonidas. You don't even know which one that is. It's not the first King Leonidas. It's the third. So, no, but that's essentially what Ashigaru are. It's the peasants. It's the working class. It's the people who don't get, it's like, I'd love to have an ammo sponsorship. Anybody? But I don't have one. So what are you supposed to do as the guy who works 9 to 5, works at Amazon, works as an EMT, does all these things to get training? You don't have that kind of luxury of someone else providing your body armor. Like, that's all bought and paid for by me. I bought that shit. Nobody gave it to me. My rifles I bought. So how do we make training for those people? And then you find out that this is what majority of the fighting force will wind up being. Like, if anyone ever grows the balls to invade the U.S., you can't count on the U.S. Army, Marine Corps. None of them are going to be anywhere near your locations. Like, Fort Lewis isn't that far from me. Not a fucking one of those motherfuckers is going to be anywhere near me. They're all headed straight for Bangor. They're not going to Seattle. It's not going to happen, So that's Ashigaru and what I do.
Yeah, and then there's that, like you're talking about the Molan Labe and the Spartan helmets, and of course the ever so cursed Punisher skulls. 3%ers. That's been like a thing that came back up. Now, one thing, because like everyone loves to talk shit on 3%ers, Oath Keepers, or any of the different organizations. The Oath Keepers that got arrested at the January 6th out of Florida, actually the ones from Florida were my students. And the thing, it's like they're, some of them, like they actually did pretty well in class, some of them, it's just like any other class. There's some guys that aren't the best at it, but they're trying, they're learning and everything. The thing I really liked about those guys were that they had the balls to go. I was like, it's stupid to go. Don't go, but that also kind of plays in with the 3% that actually fought the Revolutionary War, because that's where that term comes from. And something that I think a lot of people should appreciate is it's like you could have all the cool whiz bang gear, all the best training, you could have the best skills, still takes balls.
It takes balls, and it takes a little bit more than desire. Like, if you go throughout fucking history, okay, just to name a few: Battle of Agincourt, Battle of the Bulge, Stalingrad, Ardennes Forest, first and second time, which is just the Bulge. You're gonna find that it's not a matter of gear. It just is not a matter of gear. Like, Battle of Agincourt was in 1456. I'm not going to get that. 1400s. You got like maybe 5,000 Englishmen versus about 15 to 20,000 French knights. One of these guys has really good gear, and one of them has lost their pants because, well, don't wear pants if you have dysentery. There's no point. So, and when you look at who won that, the English, you go, well, how did that happen? It's because they planned better. They prepared better. It wasn't about having good gear. Those knights, the battle takes place almost immediately after a torrential rainstorm in farmland. So, of course, anything heavy sinks in the mud. And you're not going to lose your horses to that, because that's stupid. So the French push through this muddy ass field, getting bogged down, and the English just like, cool, keep doing that. Walk slowly in my general direction. Um, it wasn't a question of gear. It was just, hey, there's a tactic, there's a mindset for victory. There's a tactic that leads us to victory. Don't miss with your arrows, and the hand of God, because they should not have won that at all. That should have been a resounding defeat, because it's like a 3-1 fight. Of course, the French should have won, but the English win. So it's absolutely not a gear question. You know, you look at Battle of the Bulge for American forces, 101st Airborne versus 2 SS Panzer divisions. That's probably should have gone towards the Panzer divisions, is my guess, right?
Mm-hmm.
And yet we, you know, especially if you look at what a panzer is a tank, for those who don't know. And so that involves a Tiger tank. And what are the Americans using? M9 bazooka, which by this point in the war, we had figured out was not a good tool for those. It kind of sucks, actually. It just goes, pink. Oh, damn. So how do you kill a Tiger without anti-tank weaponry? I don't know. Ask the dudes, ask the 101st Airborne. They figured it out. You know, you look at Stalingrad, same deal. You got Germans in their MG-42s, Tiger tanks. The list goes on. Better bomb strikes, better, more precise artillery, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And the Soviets pull a victory out of that, not just in Stalingrad, but Moscow and Leningrad. That's 3 places you guys pull a victory. Ooh, what the hell happened? How did you guys fuck it up this bad? Well, we invade Russia in the winter.
But yeah, it's kind of going on that too. It's like there's when wars get real bad, it touches the civilians. It affects them too. So like that should affect the way you vote. that should affect the way you choose your home, the way you plan out your life.
Here's something people don't realize. Okay, when the Russians are in Berlin at the by the way, today I just got a notification that it's the anniversary of the Russians in Berlin and Hitler offing himself. So there you go. So about this time, majority of the German fighting force is not people like you or I. It's the mentally handicapped, children of ages 6 and up, and maybe women. What people don't understand, when wars are serious wars, right? Everybody is involved in it. There is no such thing as I'm 4-H. I can't join the military. I have asthma. I have plantar fasciitis. That's not a thing when wars are super fucking serious. And people don't understand. It's like, well, you know, that's in a far off place. It's very, like, if the Chinese ever get super serious, they absolutely can and will get mainland. It's not a question.
Yep. And now talking on that, we were talking about this. Oh, what? I don't know if it was us or if it was someone else, but I know we've talked about it before. But recently, I was talking about this with someone, and that is just who had the most casualties. Is now, so everyone listening, like, what numbers from World War II do you actually know as far as who had casualties? Now, as an American too, we don't generally think about the other casualties from the other countries. But what we suffered compared to other countries is so minuscule. Not saying it didn't matter, not saying it's not important to try and detract from the guys that sacrificed their lives by any means, but other countries suffered much worse than us. So I'm going to throw that on the screen real quick. And we can just take a look at it. Now you guys can think, like, just think, who were the countries that had the most casualties and what were they? Now we'll take a look.
I know the answer. Can I put my hand up?
No. we look like Soviet Union. Now we got military in red and then an orange civilian, but total of almost 24 million casualties. China, how often do you hear about their casualties? Well, total of almost 20 million. I'm not sure what this blue line is. Told deaths, percentage of 19. Oh, it's a percentage. Okay. Then we got
What percentage of the population was offed by this?
right.
At that time?
So like more than half the population of Russia. Crazy.
Yeah.
Poland.
Well,
Of about 5 million. Indonesia. Never hear anything about Indonesia. 4 million.
Well, so far you're listing off countries that so China was a Japanese target, Indonesia was a Japanese target, India was a Japanese target. Japan didn't have. See, this is what's crazy is people think that the Japanese had this huge military. They did not. They actually had a relatively small military that was basically spending the last 30 years trying to catch up with the rest of the world. So what you see there is literally probably all of it. That's all of the Japanese military available. If you scroll up to Indonesia, go ahead, scroll up.
Yeah, damn.
Come on.
Yep.
There you go. There's the Japanese fighting force. I know it's green for civilian, but that's what it was.
Orange for civilians. Are you colorblind?
I'm sorry. I am red green colorblind. Yeah, so the fact that it's a red green chart is really cool, or orange or whatever the fuck colors it is. Don't care.
But so, like, thinking about just the numbers of casualties comparing to the United States. The United States, we're at less than 1 million, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, it looks tiny compared to all the other countries. Well, and something else that people need to keep in mind is just when we even joined the fight.
Well, you have to remember is that Russia is the first target. When Germany decides to get violent with it, Russia was first on that list, right? And because Hitler knew exactly who the problem was going to where the problem was going to come from. And here's a fun little history fact for a lot of people. Stalingrad starts and ends before the Americans are in North Africa. Think about that. The timeline of events. Russia has already beaten the Germans. It's now a matter of when, not if. By the time the United States is in North Africa, which is the first part of the European theater for World War II. Just think about that for a second. So majority of those casualties that you see for the Soviets there, it's already happened. It's done. There's nothing more. So, that's before the first American casualty. So that's something that like they don't tell you in the history books is that's the timeline. Right. That's always caught me off guard is I forget all the times like Stalingrad is before Normandy, it's before Sicily, and it's before Africa. So that's how quickly that all changed. And the Germans would keep fighting for like a year after that.
And in that battle alone, think about this too. What have you guys learned about it? How many casualties were there? So, pulling it up. Over a million.
You have a rule about looking at comments afterwards.
Yeah, look at comments afterwards. That's
yeah.
We're not here to sit here and read comments. I don't like.
Well, they move over here, so they draw my attention because the human eye is attracted to movement.
But over a million casualties from Russia, and the numbers. There's also so many people died. It's like hard to find like exact numbers of it, but they put 800,000 to 1.5 million for Germany, but that also has like conscripts from other countries that Germany.
Yeah, so it's hard to get accurate numbers because Germany did use a lot of conscripts from like Austria or Czechoslovakia or Yugoslavia, I think it's right now, or Polish conscripts. The Japanese use Chinese and Indonesian conscripts. So it's kind of hard to get exact numbers on who's who and what's what because as soon as you're in the German military, guess what you are? German. I don't give a fuck. You got a Mauser? I'm going to shoot you. Wait, I think he's Yugoslavian. We should probably not shoot him. We should probably not hear. No, you know. So those numbers are all kinds of screwy, you know. And also, like if you look at the French numbers, a lot of those civilian numbers are not professional military, but were active combatants against the German military. The French resistance. Those are all civilians who just used really good thought processes and a Liberator pistol to secure a better gun. That's what it. But they're all civilians. They're all just civilians.
Hey, try pointing the mic more at your mouth. It got quiet for a second.
Oh, hang on. I think I leaned back a little too far, so I'll just raise the gain in case I do that again. So I think I did this.
But now talking about the Battle of Stalingrad. So like most people are most familiar with it, with the greatest movie ever made, Enemy at the Gates.
Not even close, but okay. Not even great movie. Not even close to the greatest movie.
I put snow in my mouth so he can't see my breath. I literally say that.
You know that super awesome sniper duel at the end of the movie? Turns out Konigsberg was never there. He was somewhere else. We found the documents. Like he wasn't there. So whoever it is that Vasily Zaitsev has a sniper duel with at the end of that movie, it wasn't Konigsberg. So
now, there's a lot of great videos on the inaccuracies about it.
Oh yeah.
There's one that I want to talk about. I don't want to talk about the movie too much, but it's a great movie. You all should watch it. The one thing that you knew some stuff about that we were talking about the other day was when in the movie when the Russians were forced to run at the German line, so literally tanks and machine guns and APCs, half tracks and shit, and only every other dude had a rifle. And then when they got wasted, which would happen, then when they retreated, they got mowed down by the Russians. So talk on that for a minute.
So people have to understand the Battle of Stalingrad is not a one fight deal. You have like 700 fucking fights across this entire city, right? You're and that scene is probably one time it happened. Probably the train that had all the guns they were supposed to use got blown up by an artillery strike, and some overzealous commissar said, "No, we're going to try and do it anyways." People think that the Russians are this brutalic, I don't care if 99% of my men die. I'll take every Pyrrhic victory I can. No. There's probably nothing that actually says that exact situation happened. And if it did happen, the commissar, because it would have had to have been a commissar, because no general is going to do that. The commissar who ordered it was probably shot on sight for killing way too many people. And no, the machine guns would not have mowed down their own people. That's stupid. That's like really, really stupid. Hey, why are you running this way? There's a machine gun nest over there. Bam, 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 bam. I don't want to know where the machine gun nests are. Coward. It's like I said, if that one scene were to have happened, it would have been the biggest military fuck up. That whoever it is who said it was a good idea would have been shot. They definitely would not have shot their own men. not like you see in the movies, just indiscriminate fire. Just not good tactics on any account. And yeah, it's a desperate battle, but you got to really, really need that. And losing half your dudes, more than half your dudes, for an unsupported infantry advancement is not a good way to get that, because you're just chewing up people at that point, and there's no it doesn't make any sort of tactful sense. Believe it or not, the Russians do know what they're doing.
Number one, that movie's so great. Number two,
Okay.
But the every other guy having a rifle thing, talk on that.
Like I said, it's unlikely, because you're talking. So a little bit about the Mosin Nagant, or as some people call it, the shit stick. It was invented in 1891 and has been in production since then. I highly doubt the Russians ran out of those fucking things, to the point that at any point in World War II, it would have been a thing where you get one rifle, you get one clip. I extremely doubt it. Now, it is possible that train shipment of rifles got blown up. And again, some commissar said, no, we're going to keep trying anyways. But yeah, it's not a super likely thing. It's probably just propaganda. It's probably just to make the Russians look like bad guys, and like nobody here is a good guy kind of deal. The Russians don't care about their own people.
Yeah.
And again, even if it did happen, it was a success. In the movie, it was a success. So.
Didn't you talk about the other day, there was like one time when the Russians did have to advance, and it was just like a matter of timing and everything that was going on, and they were undersupplied?
Yeah, that's what I mean. It's like there were trains that were blown up all the time. The Germans did understand that if you stop those trains, you stop the Russians from having guns and ammunition and food and everything like that. And there were certain pushes. You definitely didn't want the Germans to have the shoreline, right? Because I sent you a map of Novograd, or no, not Novograd. I have Lord have mercy. They've changed the name so many fucking times. What is currently Stalingrad, and you can see the river. There's a river. Russians are on one side, Germans are on the other side.
Where really did you send that map?
Huh?
Where did you send the map?
Text.
Oh, I didn't get it.
Ah.
Oh well. Okay, continue. Don't worry about it.
Okay, I won't worry about it. So that there would have been timing in that, but not, like I said, unlikely to the point that you needed to waste that many. You needed to send them without a rifle. The commissar definitely would have been shot for that. 99% confident.
And now, so what were some of because this is something I know you like talking about, is some of the lessons they learned in the Battle of Stalingrad, what were like successful tactics that the Russians and the Germans were using? So
for an initial, what the Russians learned really rapidly throughout the entire war, all of Operation Barbarossa, is if the German military thinks that there's a German life anywhere near this vicinity, they will not bomb it and they will not shoot it with artillery shells. And so the Russians caught wind of that real quick and would just like live in hotels with the Germans. If you've ever seen Saving Private Ryan, that wall scene where the wall falls down and it's like a room full of Germans and then the Americans, that's about what the entire battle is going to be, is just CQB, urban warfare on purpose. I'm going to be really close to you because I don't want to be blown up by a bomb. And if you think about like a hotel room, or not a hotel room, but a hotel, it wouldn't be like Germans on the top floor, Russians on the bottom floor, or half of the building. It would be like German, Russian, German, Russian, German, Russian, throughout the entire infrastructure, because that's just what the fighting wound up being. It was suddenly just kill them. I don't care how you do it. We're not going to blow up the building because my guys are in it and your guys are in it. I think there was one hotel, and for the life of me, I went looking for this for you. but I couldn't find it. But there was a hotel that had switched hands no less than 500 times throughout the whole battle. Just this one building. It might have been an apartment for all I know, because I don't think Soviet Russians had hotels, but it might have been just an apartment building. But it switched hands like no less than 500 times. Just Russians, Germans, Russians, Germans. And that's just where all the fighting was. I mean, it was combat doctrine that the Germans put forward, like, hey, stop getting so fucking close to the Russians, because number one, they're going to beat you to death with shovels, and that's not a good time for us. And number two, we can't do anything about it. The Russians are just way better at this CQB shit than we are.
And why was that?
Well, their submachine guns were better. Their baseline skill sets were better. And the German, you got to think German infantry doctrine would have been use your rifle specifically over anything else. And the Russians were like, if you beat them to death with the table leg, I'm okay with this. Kill that, you know. So the Russians had better standards for CQB. Lessons they learned from World War I. It's like, hey, it gets like this all the time. You got to remember, after every major war, people tend to forget everything they learned from that fucking war. It's like World War I. What are we doing? Well, we shoot them really far away, and then they come over here, and we have to beat them to death with table legs and grenades. All right. Well, this one, it surely won't turn into that. It immediately turns into that.
Yeah, good thing we're never going to be fighting in trenches again.
Yeah, immediately start digging trenches again. Like, oh, okay. You know, there's the fact that if you look at the T-34 tank, the 76.2 millimeter cannon is an anemic cannon by tank standards. But guess what I can do with that? I can pivot the whole fucking turret down a city street. The buildings don't get in my way. I can still use my tank. Versus if you look at the Tiger tank or the Panther or any of the major German tanks, long as fuck barrels, I can't turn it. It's a dead tank. The Russians understood that rodents are a thing, so they didn't have a whole lot of extra wiring in their tanks that were super critical. So they still had like cranks, like turn it, oh my god. So their tanks were still running well after rats had eaten most of the Tiger tanks to nothing for the insulation and the wiring. You know, so there's a lot of really important things that the Russians picked up from and said, hey, this is going to be our SOP going forwards. And the Germans just never really quite learned.
Was switching hands with a rifle recorded as a thing they would do?
Oh, yeah. A story from John Farnham, who is a legendary instructor in this industry. And if you haven't trained with John Farnham, you're wrong like dick cancer, and you need to fix that, like post haste. I know. It was directed directly at you.
Yeah, I know.
But he likes to tell a story about, and if I'm remembering it correctly, it was him having a conversation with a former KGB agent who had survived the Battle of Stalingrad. He asked him, what is a lesson that you would teach American shooters? He said, learn to shoot with your other hand. Right? You know, it's really easy to sit there and say, I am only going to train with my dominant hand until it's not available. I have to understand, the Germans are accurate and they're precise. They will take whatever you give them. Right? The Russians are also precise and accurate, and they will take whatever you give them. So when both sides are mutually able to perform, then you're going to have to switch things up and use other appendages so that you're not sticking that much of yourself out. Right? Because you can't do this whole gopher thing. You're going to lose your face. Peekaboo. Okay, I see 6 Germans. That's how that's going to be. And that's extremely well documented that Russians were figuring out that ambidexterity thing really quickly. They probably knew it beforehand. Most people knew these things before the fighting really took off. Thing to remember is a good bulk of the Russian fighting force by the time of Stalingrad would have been veterans. They all would have already been in battles before this exact moment. So, yeah, don't stick out a lot of yourself, because if your opponent can actually fucking shoot, they're just going to take it.
Yeah, it's and one thing that Gary Marr exposed me to was switching hands with a rifle that made me go like, oh yeah, fuck yeah, I need to get good at that. It just simply allows you, if you're shooting on the move, to be able to move in more directions. Like, try moving left while keeping the rifle in your right hand, your right shoulder. Not fucking easy. So it's kind of like it, when do you switch from rifle to pistols? Either when you want to or when you have to. You can do the same thing with switching hands with a rifle. Either I have to, this hand's fucked up, or when I want to, and that potentially will keep that hand from getting fucked up.
Well, I mean, you kind of choose what is important to you. If having hyper performance with one side is important to you, then don't be surprised when that disappears that you suck shit. I'd rather be mediocre with both sides of my body than really good at one side.
Yeah. Now, what about bayonets? Like, anything you want to share with us on that? I can speak on my time in the Marine Corps. Like, we got bayonets in boot camp for like one thing, and then I was never issued a bayonet again. And
because your higher ups thought that we would never need that shit again, because we're never going back to trench warfare.
I literally think it's that they don't trust us with knives.
I think it's that big government likes to think that it's found a new way to fight. If you look at the F-4 Phantom and the development of that in Vietnam, and I talked about this in a video, but the Air Force Command was certain, dead set that the future of dogfights between aircraft was going to be missiles and nothing else. So they built a jet that only had missiles and some bombs. Well, it would be the Russians. The Russians never really give up on ideas that work. That's why it's just been the AK since 1947. It's not broken. It works great. And it's outcompeting pretty much everything else out there. Sure, you got the AK-12, which is slightly nicer, whatever, but the 47 is still just as potent a weapon as anything else you can think of. And so when Soviet MiGs go up against American F-4 Phantoms, and look at that, they have flares and chaff, and our missiles are empty. Well, there's only one guy up there now that has a gun, and it's the Russians. So these F-4 Phantoms get retrofitted instantaneously with guns. Now every jet that's out there, every jet, even the stealth ones that aren't supposed to be shot at, have guns on them. Like, you're not supposed to know that this thing exists in the sky. Put a gun on it. It seems like a constant thing every single time. It's like, no, there's a new way to wage war, and this is how we're going to do it from now on. Okay. But what happens when the guy decides to beat me to death with a shovel? What am I supposed to do now? Well, shoot better.
Yeah, and I can think about too. It's like imagining, like if I was in a real battle, like what was going on in World War II, and like not being issued a bayonet, especially with the fact that the majority of the military doesn't practice malfunction clearing well enough to actually be good at it. Like we only even learned like good procedures after we had been to like our, actual deployment to Afghanistan. So when we got back was when we actually learned how to clear malfunctions. So if I had been in a real battle
right now,
we'll if I had been in a real battle and my rifle stopped working, I probably would have been looking for a new rifle, considering that. And it's just like, it's still out there, dude. I still get fucking comments of people saying like, use sports. And I was like, dude, no, that doesn't work. It doesn't work. That's why there's only 3 videos on how to do it. And every time they teach it, it's with an unloaded gun. Like, there's no real malfunction they're clearing. And they even do the process wrong when they teach it. But anyways, so it's like thinking about when the next huge war does come and Americans are put back in the fight. Like, I actually see it as like, they're probably going to want fucking bayonets. Sidearms, okay, but sidearms are not widely issued, especially not in the infantry. It's more of a thing that they give, like, yeah, machine gunners will get them. And then it's more like, hey, squad leaders and above get them so they don't have to carry their rifle when they're going to the chow hall. They just take their pistol instead.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's interesting because if you've seen that video, and our mutual friend Sonny Pazika shared it a while back, of the Ukrainian and that Russian getting into a knife fight. First of all, something to notice: both rifles are bayonet-capable rifles. The AK that's used and the I'm going to guess it's an M16 that's used are both bayonet-capable rifles. So it's crazy how we went, how Ukraine definitely has access to the free flow, whatever the fuck, rifles. They have access to that, but they're not using them for some reason. And it's almost as if they're not really holding up as well to combat use as previously predicted. But the thing is the reality when you're not necessarily in these groups of similarly dressed individuals, fighting gets weird. That's kind of the big thing. That's why nations spend so much fucking money on camouflage, and everyone's camouflage being specific in patterns, because I want to be able to hide from the enemy, but I also want you to be able to find me if we get separated. But
or more along the lines of, I want you to look at me and not shoot at me.
Yeah, I want you to be able to identify that I am also on your side and I should not be shot, please. That's why in the Geneva Convention, or it might be Hague, Geneva or Hague, I can't remember right now, but it's a war crime to dress in the uniform of your enemy. Because it's like, okay, I know fighting is ridiculous and hard to do, but that's just silliness. Don't put on the uniform of your enemy. You can use their guns, that's fine, but don't dress in their uniform and don't fly their flags. Also, don't shoot at people with a red cross.
Yeah. All these rules that are definitely followed.
They're followed when wars aren't that serious. And I'm not saying that Afghanistan or Iraq isn't serious for the people involved with it. It's just,
it's not World War II. It's not Stalingrad,
Well, the reason why World War II is more serious is because Adolf Hitler and Joseph Stalin are at risk of dying to the war that they started. George W. Bush was never at risk of dying to the war he started, right? Neither Afghanistan nor Iraq was he ever in danger. So it's not a real war. It's real for the people who have to, fight it and bleed and die. But it's not for the political leaders. You see what I'm getting at?
Yeah.
That's the big difference is, we hear about things like C-130s and M1 Abrams. Iraq never really had anything that an Abrams wasn't going to be able to kill, and probably just one. It's like an army of T-55s and T-62s. Ooh, it's not even going to scratch the paint on this Abrams. I'm so scared. I think you sent me the Sam Hyde video. It's like these people who eat dirt and have beards. He can't even read. Shit.
Yeah, you know, and it's like it's something I think about because it's like, man, when I look at like different interviews of like especially Vietnam vets, like I get really annoyed by veterans. For people who don't know, because there's a lot of self-righteousness and like shit talking down on civilians, and I'm just like, wow, yeah, you're fucking thank you for your service coming out here, and all that just evolved into being a shitbag towards fucking the people that you're supposedly serving. But anyways, Vietnam vets, there's man, they had a fucking hard life. Spoken to a few like that got to do like cool guy type stuff. One thing to note is like they are not the broken PTSD'd out veteran that the media has portrayed them to be, and that I've seen some dudes that I've served with pretend to be, which I know they're not. That's a thing. But like comparing what I went through or some of my friends went through compared to like a dude who fought in Vietnam or of course Stalingrad. I met a guy who was 13 and fought in Stalingrad a long time ago. You know, like we've never had that. And
I would tell you that it's debrief time. If you were a World War II soldier and you were at Normandy and it's like, all right, you're fucked up, it's time for you to go back to the US. You had a ship to ride on, and you were going to be on that ship, figuring yourself out, easing off of that huge adrenaline spike for about 2 weeks, right? Because the ships aren't instantaneous. Today, hop on a fucking plane, you'll be home in 16 minutes or 16 hours. So I would say it's debrief time that really changed everything. And no, the Vietnam vets did not. The worst part about life for them wasn't the debrief time. It was the fact that as soon as they got off the plane, there was some fucking hippie smoking pot, spitting in their eye, going, "You killed 300 kids." It's like, I got blown up in a helicopter taking pictures. I don't know who the fuck I was shooting at.
Yeah, and
like that would have been the hardest part for them. It's like, you motherfuckers.
Yeah, it's like I was drafted. I didn't want to be here.
Yeah, that was the other thing. It's like I didn't want to go. I burned my draft card and was like hiding. You know, they found me in a closet and dragged me over there at point of a gun. Like I didn't want to fucking be there. And then next thing I know, there's some guy who looks like this screaming at me with an AK, shooting at me. What am I supposed to fucking do? Just let him shoot me? Like, you know, that's kind of there's a huge difference. And then today it's like, all right, what are we doing? Well, today we're sitting and waiting until something important happens. And what will that be? Fuck if I know.
Yeah. And it's like, you know, for us too, we were fighting the ASHIGARU. The majority of the war on terror was basically fighting the Middle East ASHIGARU, right?
Yeah, you ready for something cool? You ready for something cool? Here you go.
Soviet-Afghan war. It's fucking backwards with your camera.
I don't know why.
It's definitely your fault.
At it, flipping at it, it won't fix. So, fun fact, we were not the first ones in Afghanistan. These guys aren't the first ones in Afghanistan. The British weren't the first ones in Afghanistan. The Mongols weren't the first ones in Afghanistan. Alexander the Great was. That's how many times people have tried to get into that fucking country and conquer it, and how many times they've been soundly kicked the fuck out. Just a neat little piece of history for people. We're like, you know, in the last 20 years, we have developed all fighting measures that will matter. It's like, okay, in the 80s, the Soviets were there. It didn't work. In the 1700s, the British were there. It didn't work. It's a country that is devoid of your tactical supremacy. It doesn't hold up. They don't seem to give a shit. And yes, the Mujahideen And the Taliban and all these people are just dudes that live there. They're goat farmers. I don't know. Nobody can really explain it. Maybe it's the terrain. Maybe it's the culture. Maybe the dirt's just cursed. Maybe God hates that spot in particular and doesn't want anyone in there. Couldn't tell you. But
there's a
the
lot
number
of
of people.
there's a lot of contributing factors, but it's like you can also look at, because we talked about like a professional soldier, comparing that to the Ashigaru in the beginning. Well, these dudes, they basically are told like, hey, I'll pay you money to dig a hole and put a bomb in it. Mm-hmm. Like the majority of the U.S. casualties in Afghanistan actually came from IEDs. And so it's like, you can't fucking bill drill your way out of an IED explosion.
No, that's the thing. What people don't understand is warfare goes the flow of what is going to be the most successful tactic available. Okay. So when you look at the war on terror, the entire global war on terror, of course, there's not going to be a whole lot of things you get to shoot at because not a fucking one of them's good at shooting AKs, but they are good at just being people and burying bombs where they're told to bury bombs. If you look at drone warfare, it's so prevalent because it's a successful tactic to fighting. What am I supposed to do? Run at that Russian armored column with what? Spitfire and spunk. No, we're going to use these cheap as shit. No, any idiot could fly them drones and just do that. That's how wars go. That's how they that's the natural flow of them. Is just whatever works best, right? If you go back to ancient Greece, since that's where we started, right? The phalanx formation is the easiest way for the Greek military to kill a lot of people without getting killed, right? The Romans make that one better with the testudo. And then when Attila the Hun invades Rome and uses horse archers and rotating formations, I can kill you super easily. It's really hard for you to kill me. That's how warfare goes. Whatever the supreme tactic is whatever exposes me less to getting killed. Because that's how I go back and tell you, what did I do? What'd you do? Well, I rode in circles on a horse and I shot bows and arrows at those guys until they all died. Well, what did they do to you? Well, they threw sticks at me, but they couldn't hit me because I'm riding around in a circle. I never stopped moving. That's why Genghis Khan was so fucking successful, why he had the biggest empire in human history. Is it's all cavalry, it's all fast, it never stops moving, and it's really, really, really hard to stop once it gets started. That's how warfare goes.
Now, any because we've primarily talked about wars, but anything outside of wars, more on the civilian side, maybe after the war, anything on that you'd want to talk to? Historical lessons.
Oh, historical lessons outside of warfare? No, not particularly. Those are kind of the big turning points in any sort of combat doctrine. You can find older stuff. If you go back to like Musashi and all these guys, that's when dueling outside of warfare is socially acceptable. You can examine Kyle Rittenhouse's situation to your heart's content. Number one, I would say getting good with both hands is a good idea. Especially if you look at the fuck's his name, the communist. I'm drawing a blank here. The last guy Kyle shoots.
Oh yeah, the bicep.
Yeah, well, you think about it. He has a gun in his hand, and then Kyle blows off his arm. Now let's just say, for hypothetical sake, that the roles are reversed, and that Kyle is a mad gunman. And he's harming all these people. He's doing exactly what they all said he's doing. And Communist McDickfuck is somehow the good guy in all this. Well, having your bicep bifurcated is not a good reason to stop fighting. You should probably just switch hands. And deal with this problem. You know, now obviously Kyle's not a bad guy. He's not the piece of shit in this, so therefore he didn't continue to shoot. Right? That's why the idiot can go and testify in court. Like, are you even allowed to have a gun? No.
Hey, fix your mic again. It's probably a good thing he didn't kill him because his that the bicep dude getting shot and then testifying actually helped Kyle a lot.
Oh yeah, it's like, hey, were you there for good guy purposes? No. Were you even allowed to have a gun? No. It's like, oh, I'm so glad you're here. And he shot you? Why didn't he do it? If you want to talk about the luckiest motherfucker on the face of the goddamn planet, I'm fucking serious. Kyle Rittenhouse could not have been any luckier. In a crowd full of people, you got to take a minute and stop and think about it. A crowd full of fucking people. He shoots a pedophile, a domestic abuser, and a communist. And all three of which are convicted felons.
Two of them were pedophiles. And then I saw a post accusing the bicep guy. It was a woman saying that he tried to rape her at a party and y'all need to stop supporting him. And so I saw a post.
To that, so
I'm just going to go ahead and, be like, hey, me too. All right. I believe you 100%, even though I just saw the post. Fuck that guy.
Yeah. I mean, if you want to talk about how fucking lucky a person can be, like, you didn't kill, a father of three, just trying to, keep the peace. You didn't kill, accidentally shoot a cop. You didn't fucking kill, and he actually shoots 4 people, by the way. And people don't realize this. 4. They couldn't find one of them.
Really?
And he's only described in court testimony as Yellow Pants guy, but he is the 4th person who was indeed shot by Kyle Rittenhouse, or if not, very, very. He had definitely been burned by the muzzle. He jumps on Kyle. So
I don't remember that. Any other historic lessons that you want to talk about before we hit comments?
Probably not.
Okay.
Probably should take it easy on the history. I can go over these books real quick though, because
go ahead.
People should read books. Number 1, go to any Barnes and Noble, and you can find yourself books that look a lot like this. I know they look like fucking kids.
Pull that up higher.
Yeah.
Hey, before you do that, do me a favor. Go settings, and then video
settings,
and then it says mirror camera.
Click shit! Hey,
there we go.
That might make everything
now hold
better.
Them up.
Now I'll hold
I can't read the word gun if it's backwards.
So if go find yourself one of these silly little books, and I know they're kind of meant for adults, kind of meant for kids, but you get to learn about things like flintlocks, and it's worth understanding the limitations of gear that the people before us had to live with, and the way they figured out how to conquer those problems. Learning more than what you think you should know. Here's another. Now my camera's all fucked up. I got used to pointing in the other direction. I got Glock here, AK-47. Take your time, learn about the development of the guns that you use. There you go. Fuck, where's the camera? Shooting to live.
Principles of Personal Defense. You guys can actually watch that on YouTube. There's guys have just read it on video because it's out of print. So you can actually look up Jeff Cooper, Principles of Personal Defense. Great book. Everyone should have read that.
I had no idea it was out of print.
I'm pretty sure it is.
Here's one that you absolutely should read. This is going to be a plug of a friend of mine. Oop, shit. Come on, camera.
Examining the Armed Citizen by Paul Markle.
Yep. He goes into a significant amount of history regarding arms banning and prohibition throughout history. Like crossbows being banned except for infidels. You're not allowed to use a crossbow in Christian kingdoms unless you're using it to execute an infidel, in which case it's fine. This one I have a hard time showing some people because I don't know the veracity of all the claims. But it's by Viktor Suvorov, who is a defector, Soviet defector here to the U.S.
What's the book called? You should read them out loud, the titles.
Spetsnaz, The Inside Story of the Soviet Special Forces by Viktor Suvorov. I don't know the veracity. I've asked our mutual friend a few times. He's never read it, but he's skeptical about some of the claims because I don't know why.
What claims?
There's just a lot of claims in these books. Like,
yeah, but do you remember any specific ones?
It's okay if recruits drown. It means he's no good for Spetsnaz. I don't know if that's a true claim or not. I can't find anything that verifies it or not. So, I mean, sure. All right. So those are just a couple of the books. If you've got a specific gun brand you like or make model, find a book on it. I can almost guarantee you, like, there's a book out there called M16. You should probably get that and read it and really understand the tools that you have at your disposal
and just how important, and understand just how important that forward assist is.
Yeah. I mean, if you go like this one, I enjoyed actually pretty thoroughly. As it talks about how when Gaston went to present his pistol to, if I remember correctly, the Austrian military, they made up a rule right there on the spot. It's like it's got to shoot 1,000 rounds without stopping. Okay, wasn't a rule you guys had beforehand, but let's see. And it did it. And they're like, then they went back and reevaluated Steyr and Sig, and they're like, hey, how come your guns don't run 1,000 rounds without stopping? Hey, hold on a second. Wait, why don't your guns do this shit?
And that's when it started.
No, that's that 10,000 round torture test and all that other crazy shit. It's not Glock's fault, but it's because the Glock happened to fucking do it. It's like, huh. Well, how many guns can in fact do this? And it's like all the meltdown videos that came out. Although I will say, as stupid as those fucking videos were, I do miss them. And the reason why is because SIG never would have gotten away with the 320 for as long as they had if those videos were still a fucking thing.
They're still there. I saw one that was really fucking goofy. I didn't watch the full thing, but my buddy did. And I asked him because I just went to the end. It was a 4,000 round burn down of a PSA dagger. And then apparently it broke at 4,000 rounds. And I'm like, and he was like, what a piece of shit. And I'm like, 4,000 rounds all at once? Like, that's pretty fucking good. But that being said, I didn't watch the whole video.
You could have been at Normandy on the side of the Germans behind a machine gun. All right. Shooting Americans. There's no wrong answer. Everything's a fuck. You still would not have made it through 4,000 rounds without changing barrels. Like you that's the thing, is like people don't realize you're not making that. These are purpose-driven machine guns, and they're not going to do that. It's like, well, how come my AK doesn't shoot 20,000 bullets without lubricant? It's a simple fucking machine. Of course, it's not going to poke a hole in your oil pan on your favorite vehicle. See how far it gets. You're surprised not far? Oh, that's weird. It's a machine. But we can go to comments now if you'd like.
Yep. All right. Once again, everyone who said hello, I'm going to say hello right now. But if you said, who is this? I'm going to put your comment on the screen. I'm going to say, who is this? And I think I might just make that a rule. The joke came from we're in Japanistan and cross-training with the Japanese. Yep. We're cross-training with the Japanese, and I like we're doing like EPW handling, and so going through how to search a guy and all that. And at one point, I like pull out an iPhone and went, "What is this?" And then So then the Japanese guy found the knife on the guy when he was searching him. He went, "Who is this?"
Gotcha.
So that's where that comes from. All right.
I have to applaud myself. I didn't talk about Musashi an awful lot on the live stream for once.
Yeah, I want to do an individual one on that. I should go through
That's gonna take 3 hours. I ain't got 3 hours. I do.
You should have already made a 3-hour video on it.
Dude, I can't.
Yeah. Just fucking film parts of it and then edit it together. That's all you gotta do. You can have the best.
I'm already rewriting the fucking book.
Yeah,
good enough.
Okay. So then read that bitch out loud on a video because no one reads books. All right.
That's bad.
It's true. Do you want them to fucking hear it or not?
I want them to go fucking read. Exercise your brain. Stop looking at red dots and stupid shit on the internet. Go read a fucking book. Read several books. When you're done reading the book, read it again to make sure you got it right and weren't just drifting off in La La Land. Read more books. God damn. This is why we have problems in this country. Is no one's fucking reading books. Like, I don't need to read paper and ink. What is that?
Okay.
How do I change the page?
All right. Let's say comments. Fucking book nerd. I read books.
Have you seen the shit behind me? Fucking book nerd. Like you're gonna hurt my feelings.
Someone's excited about Dark Angels. Sky.
Well, yeah.
Everyone says hello. I appreciate
the green flag. No one said shit about Black Templars.
Sonny said, I turned in and you two were talking about labia.
Well, yeah. More on labia. Isn't that the Greek, the Latin phrasing? Come and take it. More on labia, right?
All right. What about Arabs and... I looked at it on the screen. What about Arabs and the Romans? 40,000 Muslims versus 300,000 Byzantines. Muslims reinforced only 100 men at a time, killing the Byzantine morale.
That's the first crusade.
They had endless supply of men.
Yeah.
Do you know
anything about
that?
Sometimes it doesn't go the way you want it to. It doesn't like. That was the first crusade, so that was about when the Byzantines were like, "Oh shit, we might need some help."
Do you know anything on that battle?
Catholics.
Hey, do you know anything on that battle?
No. Okay. Like people say the Crusades, and then they forget that there's like 50 different throughout history. It's like, which one are you talking about? And if I can remember correctly, Byzantine Empire means it was the first crusade. So, but I don't.
Sonny, interesting thinking about World War II casualties is to look at the number of civilian casualties in the Soviet Union and Germany, considering how historians push Soviet brutality in Germany.
Yeah. So, common thing is to say that the Russians just murder everything that they see when they're in a war. That has never been the case. Like, even in Russia's more brutal history, they've never... You don't win hearts and minds long-term by just killing everything you see. And the fact that people believe that the Russians do that kind of shit, it makes me sad. Like, you don't even have to go that far back. If you look at when Russia invaded Georgia, not the state, the country, like there's I shared it not too long ago. There was a Fox interview with the family that survived the invasion. And they're like, man, it was so harrowing. What happened? And they're like, well, the Georgian military started shooting at the civilians and the Russians were running in to save everybody. Like, wait, what? And then Fox cuts the feed. Like, we got to go to commercial break. Don't tell them this. So like this whole narrative of Russians murdering civilians, it's every time I hear about it, there's like evidence not that far away that says, no, that's not how that happened.
Yeah, and like I've had a student in class right before the whole Ukraine thing really got crazy. He was like, Russia's our enemy. He's Gen X, so he grew up with that mindset. And I'm like, dude, Russia's not our enemy. Like, the FBI does way worse things to America than Russia. The CIA does worse things to America than Russia.
Mean,
Israel
you mean
does
the
worse
same
things.
FBI? Are you telling me the same FBI that ignored the FSB when they told them about the Zarnev brothers? That FBI?
Talk on that.
Oh, you know the Boston bombers, right? The Zarnev brothers.
Okay.
They had just spent like 3 months in Dagestan hanging out with Chechen terrorists. The Russian FSB sent information to the American FBI, said, hey, these two fucking dickheads literally just got done with terrorist boot camp 101, and they're probably going to do something really soon. And the FBI slept on it. They didn't investigate. They didn't look. Had they would have found that the Zarnev brothers had been Googling how to build a bomb. Like, that's enough of a reason. Ever since the Patriot Act, you guys have had free reign to go and look into that shit, and you didn't. Why? So, you know.
But yeah,
there's a Russian movie called Stalingrad. It's called Stalingrad. It's on Amazon.
I've seen a couple. I watched a couple Russian movies. I think were specifically. Oh, I remember at least one that was about Stalingrad. But yeah, there's a couple good Russian war movies on Prime. There's also good Chinese World War II movies.
Yeah, there's also there's 2 Russian movies about the war that goes on between Russia and Japan during World War II. Is that something people seem to forget all the time? Is the Soviets were fighting the Japanese the same time they were fighting the Germans.
Mm-hmm.
Like that was some hostile fucking fighting too. Like people forget that those 2 nations were opposed during World War II because the Japanese were allies of the Germans. So, there's really good Japanese and Russian movies about those battles as well. Those are some pretty fierce tank battles also, but like cheap, shitty tanks, so they're not so cool. No
military industrial complex does not make much money on bayonets.
No, they don't.
I have looked for bayonet training even in HEMA, and I have sadly been unsuccessful. Well, if my plan is still working, Sonny's going to be teaching bayonets at the muster.
At the muster?
Yeah, so
I'll have to sit in on that.
Unless he changes his mind. I don't know, but
I'm going to say using a bayonet on a rifle is easier without a sling.
You said it again. Wait, but
Hang
then
on.
How do I transition to my
using
pistol?
slings inside the house by yourself is retarded. Don't do it. Take the damn thing off. You don't need a sling if you're by yourself in your own home.
I have looked for. Oh wait, no, I already read that. Josh DeWalt, who is this?
Tom Holybee with ASHIGARU.
Hey, Josh, I shipped your sling today. Those laws were made after World War I. Talking about, I'm pretty sure he's talking about the
Hague and
Geneva. Yep.
Yeah. It would be correct. I misspoke on that.
All right, here we go. If you want a copy of Principles of Personal Defense, it can be purchased at the Gun Sight Pro Shop. Thank you.
Yeah.
Submachine Garrett.
I don't have all these cool names for people.
Garrett runs a pistol like a submachine gun, so I started calling him that. Gotcha. I want it to catch on. I really want it to catch on. I also want everyone to start saying Kalashnigat.
No.
Yeah. Yeah.
No.
Never say magazine, say clip instead.
It's the same fucking thing.
That's like always the one where like motherfuckers that know nothing will be like, oh, it's a magazine, not a clip. And then
if like I'm in a firefight and I scream, hand me a clip, and your bitch ass says it's a magazine, I'm going to shoot
automatically, you. I will
shoot you. Although if I'm in need of a clip, then I probably don't have any ammunition. So I'll walk over and stab you.
I'm going to do that. I'm going to like, now I really hope we're in a firefight together. All right. Most people, a 500 round gun is multi-generational.
Yeah.
4K one day, that's crazy.
Fucking,
there we go. There we go. Who is this? Make them all capitals next time.
People don't shoot their guns nearly as much as they think they do. Those are always my favorite people. It's like my whatever the fuck never jams. Like
Yeah.
I know, because you have to shoot it first for it to do that. It has to be used to break, right?
Yeah.
What are you talking about? I put 7 shots through my 1911, never once fucking jammed. Like, sure, if that's all you ever did with it, still got the factory lube on it.
Oh, fuck. I jacked that up.
Come on now. You're supposed to be the professional at this, not me.
I'm pretty damn good. At least my screen was facing the right way, you jackass. All right. Everyone is shocked when shit doesn't work because they haven't cleaned it since they came out of the box. Yeah.
It's even better when people realize that the shit that's on those guns is not lubricant. Like when you buy a brand new Glock and it's all wet, that's not lube. That's sealant so that it doesn't rust while it sits in storage. Yeah. You have to take that shit off of it and clean it and lubricate. It's like, these guns are shit out of the box. Like, yeah, they're not lubed.
Sonny will love this comment from Casey. Oh, by the way, Casey, we need to schedule a day at the range here soon. I got a box of Defiant right here for us to test. Pure ballistics. We're going to be doing ballistic gel testing, but like the best ballistic gel testing. All right. You said I have seen Red Dawn. I know what to do when the Russians actually do come.
Yeah. That's what's interesting about this Viktor Suvorov book here is they actually talk about like practical measures that the Russians would probably take to invade the United States, and it does not look anything like Red Dawn.
Oh yeah, they talked about how they would invade.
Yeah, like
what probably. Did they say?
I have to use specific language because it is a live stream. And I would be talking about things like the White House.
Yeah, they would probably target buildings like that.
Yeah, well, it makes mention. I don't remember when exactly this book was published, but it makes mention of using a white van and a remote-controlled RC plane, which I thought was fucking hilarious given what's going on today. Mm-hmm. I'm pretty sure this book was written in the 80s, in the 1980s. So, like, that's how far back some of these fighting concepts go, is that they were like, hey, we just commandeer a white van and throw an RC plane with explosives at a specific building and do that. So, and not, because it's talked about how you want to knock out the head before you take on the body, disrupt communication, prevent them from doing anything or having a retaliatory method or measure. So not attacking a small town in, what is it, South Dakota?
No, it's Colorado, you shitbag. You haven't seen that movie enough to know that?
I don't care. I like the reboot where it was supposed to be China, but it wound up being North Korea, which made no fucking sense.
Yeah.
Like,
North Korea is like, we're going to take over America.
For their ability to do anything correctly. How the fuck did they get here?
Doug Arnold. I'm Gen X, started my military career at the end of the Cold War. I have no animosity to Russia or its people. Well, you got a big old brain on you, bro.
He's one of Paul's students.
Oh, really?
So, yeah, I know Doug. Doug's a friend of mine. He's a smart dude.
Right on. Well, Doug, in case you didn't hear earlier, Paul's going to be there, and also Tom's going to be there. Combat Art Summit. Check it out.
Promote yourself.
Paul has a discount code to get you $100 off. September 27th and 28th. Check out the website.
Discount code.
What's that? I'll give you one.
When? You're fucking sleeping on it. My name's not even on the list.
I'm sorry. Am I not doing enough? You want to come here and help me soak so I can get that done?
No, you're like 3,000 miles away. That's an expensive trip.
Josh DeWalt. Sweet. I'll be sure to sling up immediately in my house by myself. Tom said so. Yes, he did.
There you go. Here's the funny thing is, like, that video that made me insta famous for a little bit. I just said this is how I do it.
Yeah,
I don't give
right.
a fuck how you do it. When do I give a shit? It's not my house. It's your house. You fucking do whatever the fuck you want. Like, you're on my channel because you were asking me questions, not the other way around. It's like, I don't understand that whole, I got to go to somebody else's business and tell them how they're running their business wrong. Worry about your own fucking business, weirdo. I don't go to your house to slap the dick out of your mouth.
All right. You got anything else you want to give them?
Oh, I'm still reading the
topic
comments that are over
covered?
here that you didn't highlight. You loser. Sam Russell said,
Yeah. Well,
I was in boot camp when the Boston bombing happened. I thought it was fake at the time. Basically knew nothing about it till I watched the Netflix propaganda. God. This is why you got to fucking read books. Is most of these books come out before the fucking the perverted Netflix adaptations. Like if you read the old books on Waco, Texas, and then you compare it to the shit that came out on the Netflix special, these are two totally different incidents. That's why you got to read the paper books. It's much harder to pull that shit back and change it.
What books on Waco do you recommend?
I don't have any. I have one, but I lost it because I've moved a whole bunch. I had a copy of it. I had read a lot. Can't remember the fucking author. Read it like 6 times though. And I was like, wow, this is a really shitty thing. And you guys are scumbags for doing this. What? Oh, I understand. There was reasons. And here's the more unbiased approach for why the ATF did what they did. Because you guys still suck about it. And then you watch the Netflix specials like, what do you mean you guys cried over the singed, burnt corpses of the bodies you did that to? You guys did that.
Yeah.
You know how you prevent burnt children's corpses?
Not lighting them on fire.
Don't light the house on fire. You don't have to worry about that.
Wendigoon has a great video on Waco. He has another great video on the North Hollywood shootout. I think he has one on the Miami-Dade shootout. He's done some really good content on that stuff where he dig deeper too. Like one of the stories, that he talked about, I'm not saying like it's 100% true because I don't know because I haven't seen it anywhere but his channel, but North Hollywood shootout, apparently they were convinced there was another shooter. And like, so they were like, they came up to this house and they're like, hey, we think he might be hiding in your shed in the backyard. Can we go clear it? And they're like, sure. They blew a fucking hole through his wall to get there.
If I had $1 for every time law enforcement managed to get it wrong, and not to say that like, oh, you guys are pieces of shit and you get it wrong, but just that you're wrong, right?
Yeah.
Like the only reason here's my favorite. The only reason we have 40 Smith & Wesson is because the FBI sucks at maintaining their own fucking shit.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you look at Miami, Platt and Maddox, and the argument is that because the 9mm is an underpowered cartridge, it's like you do understand that the 9mm has been around since 1908, and it performed so. People are like 2 world wars on the 45. Yeah, 2 world wars on the 9mm as well. Yeah, and it killed a lot of fucking people until the FBI got their fucking hands on it and failed to kill 2 dudes. Like that's how long the 9mm's been around.
Yeah, FUDism is a fucking cancer. One of the things researching for the North Hollywood shootout that we found, and again, I'm not gonna say it's a fact. Like we saw it on a website, and I didn't even I haven't kept track of where it was from or anything. But apparently, the first thing they approved for the LA Police Department after the North Hollywood shootout was what?
I have no clue, but I'm gonna guess it's car carbines.
45 caliber pistols.
I'm not surprised by that. I know I was supposed to end it, but the number of times that we've had these historical moments where it's like no fucking shit. right? It's like, oh, you shouldn't just have a patrol carbine or a pistol for general purpose use. Like, no fucking shit. We knew this with artillery crews. That's why we spent so much money generating the M1 carbine. Okay, so that we could give it to vehicle crews and artillerymen so that they had something that wasn't just the 45 to deal with. So like, well, American law enforcement surely doesn't need all this shit. We had already had the Texas shootout. We had that one kid that shot up a school. We had already had all these different instances throughout history where it says, hey, maybe giving a rifle to every cop is a good idea. But for some fucking reason, someone goes, no, why would we do that? And then we have Miami, we have North Hollywood. And at Miami, the FBI goes, it wasn't us. Clearly it was the 9mm at fault. We should develop a new cartridge. How about just give your guys rifles? The M16 exists, and you guys are you guys run the ATF, so you could just give yourselves permission to have whatever the fuck you want in your cars. You don't need to develop a new cartridge because you guys suck, right?
I'd really like to get one of my friends on here. He was a cop and working at a college, and there's a call for an active shooter there. So he responded. He came out with his armor, and they were allowed to use personal rifles, right? Mm. So he had his AK with him, which is based and awesome. And then he got in trouble. They're like, no, that's too scary. And they basically it went away, or they weren't allowed to respond with a rifle. And then the people in charge got replaced, and then rifles were allowed again. This is where I get the phrase, I hate teamwork.
It's you spend this money, I can't remember who the fuck it was who said it, but it's cheaper to bury them than it is to train them.
Jaeger said that.
Oh, thank God. I couldn't. Well, I'm glad someone had heard it and could remember, but he's 100% correct, because that's the fucking truth of it. It's so much easier to bury these fucking idiots. And they go out, they get fucking lucky, or they get accustomed to doing things a certain way so that they don't run the risk. And then they're shocked and surprised when shitty things happen. It's like, and without trying to sound like a fucking armchair quarterback, but you look at Uvalde, Texas, it's like, this is a room full of, and I think I saw 200 varying skill level cops, all just hanging out outside. It's not a gear issue, okay? It's a training issue. It's always going to be a training issue. If you look at Platt and Maddox, the coroner said so. You could have shot, and I can't remember if it was Platt or Maddox, but you could have shot them on the operating table the exact same way. That motherfucker was dead. Okay? There was no bringing him back from the dead. He was dead. And he continues on for what I think it was another 30 minutes just killing dudes. It's a training issue. It's not a gear issue, right? That Platt and Maddox is a prime example of it's a training issue, not a gear issue. The 9mm works fine. And you shot him with 12 gauge. Nobody ever went out and said 12 gauge buckshot and slugs weren't an effective tool to use on people. So it's like, well, it's the 9mm's fault. You shot him with buckshot, you fucker. Are you telling me that buckshot's failing now too? Dear God. Right. So, and I'm not saying that the FBI agents involved had training issues. What I'm saying is that what we learn from that is, hey, maybe use cover better. Maybe adjust the way we think about things. Maybe adjust the way we tackle things. Instead of letting them get to their fucking shit, maybe we should stop them before they get to their shit. That might be a good idea, because we did that with Randy Weaver, where he tried to. I don't know why we waited for him to go home first, but that's what we did.
Well, not we, them.
Yeah, you're right. I don't know why they waited for Randy Weaver to go home. He went to town, and he just sat in town for like an hour without a gun. You could have picked him up then, because the warrant was just for him. I don't know why you guys bothered. Waited for him to go home. And then you kill his wife and his kid and his dog. Pieces of shit. I don't know. Like and somehow you sit there and call yourself a good guy, right? Like that's something I really want to stop and name any story when they kill the wife, the child, and the dog. How often are they compared to the good guy? If I tell you, all right, Andrew, I'm going to tell you a story about a good guy, and it starts with him killing a wife, a child, and a dog. Do you think that I'm telling you the truth or a lie? It's like you're just a piece of shit.
Yeah, well, Troy Industries doesn't seem to think so they hired him.
I don't own anything from Troy Industries, and fuck Troy Industries, and fuck any of those bootlicking sacks of shit. I'm a civilian. I can say whatever the fuck I want.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, fuck.
All right, bro. You got anything else for them? Where do you teach your classes at?
I train out of Centralia, Washington. I should pimp myself. When's Memorial Day? Coming up here soon. I don't know the exact dates, and I didn't write it down because I'm stupid like that. Anyways, I have Stabbas and Stubbas coming up here on Memorial Day weekend. After that, I don't have anything scheduled until the muster in Pennsylvania, where I will be doing a segment, I don't know, probably on slings because I am the ASHIGARU sling guy. And why you should probably not wear those if you run the risk of getting into a gunfight in your own home by yourself. And then following that, I will be in Kentucky with you and several other human beings. And I will be teaching, I haven't figured out what the fuck to call it yet, but optimized tools in inconvenient spaces. And basically it's examination of perhaps firearm is not the best tool to always be going to in confined spaces. Perhaps blade work is more necessary. And just an examination into that. It's an expanded, more deep dive portion of in the Stabbas portion of my class, Stabbas and Stubbas. I'm just more focused on blade work. So there you go. And then that's all I have planned for right now.
All right. So, and give the city and state again.
Centralia, Washington.
And how do they contact you?
Right now, I don't have a website, so you're going to have to reach out to me either on my Facebook page, Tom HOLYBEE, or the various social medias attached to my business, ASHIGARU Defense. That's about the only way to do it right now. I'm working on the website thing. I had one, lost it. I got to get it again. So, but right now you could just easily find me on Facebook and shit, and it's not overly complicated. Reach out. We make training happen.
Right on. Now, for me coming up this weekend, you got pistol cheat codes and Proving Grounds pistol in North Carolina, Newton, North Carolina. You can sign up for both of them with this link right here, but you can also sign up for just one of the days if you would like. Pistol cheat codes, how to shoot your gun really good, a lot faster, and then giving you the cheat codes to shooting on the move and actually moving fast, not walking at the same pace that my grandma walks at and shooting. That's not shooting on the move. I call that static movement. But yeah, pistol cheat codes and then Proving Grounds pistol. Proving Grounds pistol is a force on force class. So think of a fighting pistol type class. All the drills you do against targets, we do against each other. We're not burning each other down the whole time. There's a lot of like dummy gun work, and there's a lot of like single shot drills. You can pad up if you want, because like it's like I understand that you get the message when you get shot, but there's no ammo required for that. That one's on the website, Proving Grounds pistol. And then coming up after that, I'm going to be taking a coast to coast tactical class. Y'all might want to sign up for that. That's going to be at Air Training Facility in Leesburg. Then we got pistol cheat codes and Proving Grounds pistol again, May 17th and 18th in Mayaca, Florida. Combat Shotgun, June 8th at Area Strength Facility in Leesburg, Florida. Only a couple slots left for that. New London, Ohio, pistol cheat codes, and Proving Grounds pistol once again. And then after that, Carry Pistol 1 at Taprack Ridge in Gray, Kentucky, July 5th through 6th. I might change the name on that, but check that one out. That's like, if I could, I mean, I don't know. I'd basically want you, if you're training with me, I'd want you to take I'd want you to take Pistol Skills 1, then I would want you to take Carry Pistol 1, then I would want you to take Proving Grounds pistol. But honestly, you could take them in any order and you would still benefit. Just in my brain, it makes the most sense to take them in that order. But Carry Pistol 1 is a must-have class. And then pistol cheat codes at Tactical Response the day before Alumni Weekend, July 11th. That's a Friday. So then there's a bunch of other stuff coming up. The summit, September 27th, 28th, of course. And then the day before the summit, Gary and I will do Art of the Bad Guy. So
you're so much busier than I am.
You got to be the bad guy. And sometimes you got to be a bystander. And when you're the good guy, you just have to stop the bad guy. But bad guys get different rules. Like, hey, you got to duck Tom's baby. You have to...
Don't abduct my baby.
You have to pickpocket Greg.
You have be easier to pickpocket me.
You have to be an active shooter. Real simple. Go do it. And so there's bystanders, there's bad guys. Bystanders have a list of different rules they have to. So kind of a scenario-based force on force class, but it's more driven as an exercise, a mental exercise, and what it's like to be the bad guy. Because if you're watching this, you're probably not a psychopath, a sociopath, or a narcissist, maybe a little bit of a narcissist. But we don't often get to go out and see what it's like to be the bad guy. So this is the opportunity for it. That's Art of the Bad Guy. But combatortraining.com, take a look at the calendar. You can see everything I got going on. There's some stuff I have to add to it too. All right.
Somewhere in there, you should take a medical class. I'm just going to say that.
Well, if you go to the summit, there's going to be medical classes.
Yeah, that's what I'm going to say. I was just about to say that. If you go to the summit or if you go to the muster, I think I might be wrong on the muster, but I know at the summit, Chuck Peoples is going to be there, and you should absolutely go to that.
Yes, Chuck Peoples will be there.
I'm going to put it to you this way. Your training regimen, all right, because I know a lot of people like the cool guy training, should be like one pistol class, medical. A force on force class, medical again. Then you get to do all the other cool guy stuff. But you really should have medical because, like, you really, really, really need that more than you need anything else, right?
Possibly.
I don't need medical. I have mindset.
You're more likely to need medical.
Car crashes are a thing. Accidents are a thing. Like, you should take medical. Because I don't know if you've seen it, Andrew. You might have seen it, of the cop applying the tourniquet under the wound.
Where was that?
It was I saw it all over on fucking Facebook. I got to find it for you.
The Florida cop? The chick that ended into herself?
No, it was a different situation altogether. It was just a picture, and it's like the tourniquet was just on the ankle. And it's like, why is it there? I saw a video of a dude get shot, and they had taken a cat tourniquet and they had tied it into a knot. It was like fucking. They were trying to cinch it down. Like, take medical classes, please, for the love of God. Take medical classes. Tell your anti-gun people to go take medical classes. If we could just get people to stop tying cat tourniquets to wounds, I'd be thrilled.
Dude, like, I've gotten to a point where I can hear retarded gun shit and just be like, of course you think that, and I'm not upset. I haven't gotten there with medical yet. It's very frustrating, mostly because, like, there's so many, dude. It's like you'll see like the qualified expert on YouTube talking about tourniquets. It's always with fucking tourniquets that this happens too. Like, there's more to medical than just tourniquets, but it's always on that subject. They're always like, don't use this one. You gotta use this one. And then they fucking put it on so shitty. They take forever. They put in low, so they're trying to compress like a whole bicep or a whole thigh muscle instead of going up high where it works better. And then they have to stare at it to do it because they suck ass at it. And then they don't even put it on tight enough.
Well,
literally watch a fucking video of a test where they're like, we're going to do a Doppler test. Fucking gave up because they said it hurt too much. Like, Jesus fucking Christ. The qualified expert. And this is the shit everyone's listening to. So, hang on. At the summit, I'm like, fucking medical is super important to me. Okay. Yeah. Chuck Peoples will be there. John Aldridge. So Homestead Medical is Chuck Peoples. John Aldridge is Iron Forge Consulting. Tactical Response will be there. Kayla will be there. So I'm going to work in a medical block for her too. Everyone needs fucking medical training. If you're not good at medical, you're an asshole.
Yeah. It doesn't get stressed enough because I think a lot of people don't like to advertise other places. I would rather, if you were going to come train with me and you said, I only have the money to train with you or take a medical class, I'm going to tell you, and it's not good for my wallet, go take a fucking medical class. I no shit. You need that more. Car crashes are a fucking thing. I was on my way to a class and I saw a car fire. There was a whole ass car on fire. And it turned out that some piece of shit was drunk, driving the wrong way, smacked into another car. It was a head-on at 60 miles an hour, so 120-mile-per-hour collision. All three occupants of both vehicles are fucking dead. You know? But that's more common than getting into a shootout at the OK Corral. You know? Carry a fire extinguisher in your car. You know? Have medical. Like, you can be the difference between life and death. You know, take medical. It's more important than gun shit. I hate to break this to all the people out there that think it's important. Medical's more important. Students to send only leads to more students. Yeah, well, you know, it's called integrity. You know, it's called caring about your students. But
Clem hopped in.
Clem,
I want to say hello, but I want to do it in a funny way. Ha ha ha! Good to see you in my chat, Clem.
He's my favorite Frenchman. You leave him be.
No, I love Clem. I love Clem. He's a badass. He is the hero of the brewery. Like,
so I'm told. I have Clem's number, and I'm such a shitty person. I haven't texted him to ask him about it. But I figured he was busy with all the punani tang that comes with being a hero, right? I don't want to interrupt punani tang.
He was like, Sonny, there's so much pussy getting thrown at me. I need a stick fighting class.
Help! I need a snorkel. I'm drowning in the
pool. Clem's awesome. He's a great fucking student too. He was there when Sonny Lewis.
Yeah, he helped me test out some stuff when I went out there in October.
Oh, really? Badass.
Yeah, for shit that never fucking happened. Still so disappointed.
Josh, I don't want bruises, so I won't tighten it down.
It hurts. You only do it till like the blood stops, right? Not when it hurts. You should stop then.
But what many trainers don't realize is that sending students to other trainers only leads to more students later. Yeah. I personally had that. I was like, hey, man, why don't you take that class first? And they were like, I'm signing up for yours. I'm like, okay, like that's cool. But
here's the thing. Here's the trick for all you students out there. And I know the instructors are going to fucking hate me for this because it's going to cost them money. Taking the same fucking class 12 times in a row will not make you a better student. It will not make you a better shooter. Take one class, write down a lot of notes. Like, write down notes on shit you don't think is fucking important, because it might be important later. Go home, do your fucking homework for like 6 months before you even think about taking another class. And then 6 months after that, write those notes down again. All right? So you should have a notebook with like a year's worth of time and 2 sets of notes in it. See what sticks.
I'm gonna disagree with that because like if they take a class and only focus on that for 6 months and overall preparedness and just the martial realm, that will lead to them lacking in something. Like you can, you know, like let's say like they've already done their medical class, right? They're like, let's not scenario it too much, but like they take a pistol class. I wouldn't want them to only focus on how to shoot a pistol for 6 months before taking something else. Because you could take a low light class and it could open your mind to a million more things.
Sure, this is more for those certificate hunters.
Pay the bills so your skills don't get repoed and you actually hone everything you learn. But yes, be a good student. I've actually started a document on be a good student because I want to do a live stream on that and what that means. But taking fucking notes, holy shit, why is that so fucking hard for people? Take notes. Notebook.
I won't name names, but I was at a well-known instructor's class, his level 1 class, and there was a guy who was bragging about how this was his 5th time taking the class. To which I would say, well, then if you had paid your dues and done your homework, you should be really, really good at all the drills. Like, so good at these drills, it's embarrassing. There was something embarrassing, but it wasn't his ability. It was his ability to do. Oh my God! It took my words away. That's how bad it was. I mean, don't take these classes over and over again thinking you're going to get any better. All you're doing is wasting money. Go home, do your homework. Regardless of timeline in which you should be doing that homework, do your homework. Yep.
Now, before we leave, I'm going to give a shout out to Bulletin. I need to do this more often, but there's a link right there.
If you're not using Bulletin to find your training, you're wrong like dick cancer. There's a lot of dick cancer going on around here.
You have gay dick cancer because you don't use Bulletin.
Like, you should absolutely use Bulletin because you can sort by price, you could sort by location, you can sort by category. So you're sitting there like, where should I find this medical class that this bald asshole keeps talking about? Bulletin.net. It'll take you straight there, and you'll be like, aha, there it is. Maybe there's something closer. Maybe there isn't. I don't know.
And check out the Berm Limits podcast also. I've been on there a couple times.
I haven't been on there. They haven't invited me.
They don't like you. It's because of your hair.
Well, it's because I have unconventional opinions on slings and hair.
No, it's the hair.
We don't want Japanese people on our podcast. No. We're resorting to the racism. No Japanese.
All right.
Very well then.
Thank you guys for watching. Keep fighting communism. Kill
all pedophiles. All of them. Wood chipper, feet first.
No. Don't. Wood chipper is fucking. It's just that is fantasy land.
Okay, fine.
The gun on your body. The hands
instead of gel tests. Instead of gel tests.
Yeah. Extreme force on force coming soon.
We make gel tests irrelevant because we use so many of these.
But yes, all that stuff, and remember.